Welcome, welcome. Good afternoon to Catherine. Good afternoon to Susan. Welcome, welcome, Tish. Well, today we are going to check out the Buda Castle Quarter, and we are going to check out the Mankai phase of Hanami. And all the trees are in full bloom, so it looks completely different than slightly over a week ago. And well, the tour, the live streaming tour will take about 45 minutes. We are going to walk all the 1.1 kilometer of double tree-lined avenue. And in the meantime, we'll also check out the residential buildings that we pass by. We'll do some people watching. There are plenty of professional photographers out. There are plenty of people taking engagement pictures as well. So there will be a lot to see. And, well, you have the chance to ask questions during the tour. You can put it, you can type it in the comment section, and I'll do my best to answer them right away. And I'm going to quickly change Deidre. Welcome, welcome, Sharon. Good to see you. I'm going to switch cameras, and I will be back in a brief second. So there you go, our main protagonist. Susan, indeed, last time I came across this question, what type of birds are nesting here? Well, most of the birds that you will hear today singing are blackbirds. And let me quickly see whether if there are any other questions that I can answer at this very moment. But no, so off we go. 1.1 kilometers of sakuras. So what we are doing today is Hanami. That would be the flower viewing. And Hanami has two phases. It usually takes about a week. The first phase, as I briefly mentioned, is the so-called Kankai. And today we are enjoying the second phase when the flowers are in full bloom, and that would be the Mankai. And well, for the returning viewers, these branches might ring a bell. A few years ago, well, we could see the Royal Palace of Buda in the distance. But well, today it's a little different. That would be the skeleton and the sort of like theater facade of the Archduke Joseph Palace. Well, Budapest is an ever-changing city. Not just the seasons are changing continuously, but the skyline as well. Well, just like the first time when we were touring, the temperature is quite chilly. And I'm back after a bit of a technical glitch. So today the temperature is also quite chilly, as it was the first time when we were touring. The outside temperature is about 13 degrees Celsius. Well, let me know if you can hear me well. Let me know if you can see me well, because there was a bit of a technical glitch. Well, I haven't proceeded much during the previous minutes. We are still in the first 5 trees. Yeah, earlier today it was raining like cats and dogs, but it also means that the colors of the pentals, since it's a bit chilly, it's a bit darker pink than usually it would be. So these cherry trees that we have here in Budapest are from the Kanzan variety. Well, these trees, this type, was cultivated back in the Edo period in Japan. That would be between 1603 and 1867. There you go, another note, just to make sure you don't have to write down too many things. The Kanzai variety is the most popular ornamental cherry tree variety in Europe. These are double flowers. And each flower has about 20 to 50 petals. And should it be dry, should it be cold during the blooming, then the petals get this darker color that you can see here. Otherwise, they have this light pink color, almost white. The Kansai variety, when fully grown, can be up to 9 meters in height. That would be 3 floors. The trees here on the Buda castle being planted sometime between 2005 and 2006. So they are, I mean, the first batch, they are only 6 to 7 meters in height. A cherry tree of this variety, a schooled cherry tree, a pre-grown cherry tree, would cost about 70 euros. The current value of these trees in Hungary, if one would cut the economical value, the environmental value, sorry, of these trees is up to 400 to 500 euros, depending on the size. And as you can see, we are not the only photographers up on the hill. I can tell you that during the weekend, there was a massive crowd here. So this is one of the newer trees. This has been planted in 2009, the first batch between 2005 and 2006. They've been planted for one reason and one reason alone, for their visual quality, making sure that the double tree-lined avenue up on the castle hill will attract more people. Natalie, well, now you can tell your school friend that Edo was also one of the dynasties of the Japanese Empire, or the Empire of Japan. So although we know Hanami today as a Japanese custom, it originates from China, and it was the Japanese elite's idea to copy the custom of Japanese. Susan's question, are the trees irrigated, or do they depend on the rain? Well, these trees absolutely depend on the rain, and well, on the selfless actions of the Metropolitan Horticulture Company's employees. Now the tree we have in the middle, well, this has been planted in December 2024. 3 of the trees died, and they had to be replanted due to the famous nature of this tree line, of this avenue. The Metropolitan Gardening Company made a huge social media event when they filled the gaps of the tree line. And as you can see, this one seems to be a survivor. It already has flowers. There are another 2, and we will also discuss how different the young ones are from the older ones. The older ones, although most of the trees are leaning a little bit towards the west, towards the view, away from the houses, and the old ones, the matured ones, they tend to spread to as wide as 8 meters. And as I briefly mentioned, the full height of a fully grown Kansai tree is about 9 meters. That would be 3 floors. Well, Susan, thank you very much for the question. It's always better to talk about those things that you are interested, instead of talking about those things that I think is interesting. So keep the questions coming. So the first tree line has been planted here during the 1720s, when the castle hill still, well, the defense line was still in use. It was even before Maria Theresia's time, but it was the fact that they planted trees here, which were chestnut trees, just like the trees to our right-hand side. It meant that sooner or later the the Buda Castle Hill will lose its fortification status. Welcome, welcome, Valpuri. It's nice that you could also join the bandwagon live. By the way, as soon as we conclude this tour, it will be available on YouTube so that you can re-watch it again. So, since we have some nice pentals here, so we have nice flowers here. We have 20 to 50 pentals. And as per the tradition, should a pental fall on someone, that means good luck for the one for the next year. The flowers, they symbolize rebirth and revival. And the fact that later this week we have Easter and today is the first day of Pesach, I believe it's a perfect metaphor to the time of the year. And as I briefly mentioned at the beginning of the tour, the Kanzan variety can come in two colors, in white and in pink. But the interesting thing is that the trees, where dominantly the petals are pink, can also feature white colored flowers as well. So all across Europe and all across North America, most of the cherry trees are from the same variety, from the Kanzan variety. However, between the 1600s and the 1800s, several different varieties of ornamental cherry trees being cultivated, but eventually the Kanzan version became the most popular. Part for the vivid colors, part for the fact that it can also survive cold temperatures. Is said to be the best variety for cherry blossom viewing. Indeed, Valkyrie, this is the time when this double tree-lined avenue shows its best. Half of the tunnel, most colorful tunnel, is green, the other half is pink. So we have chestnut trees here, just like back in 1720, so that during the 1800s, the double tree-lined avenue and the defense line would completely disconnect. The next time when some landscaping took place here was 1936 and 1938, when once again trees being planted on both sides. And once again, it was cherry trees. Well, the Second World War hit this area pretty badly. So almost the entire tree line and the avenue as well was destroyed, like completely. And obviously it was not prioritized that the trees will be replanted and it was not considered essential, to put it this way. Well, thank you very much, Susan, for mentioning um, narrow and upright. As far as I've learned, this would be considered a vase shape, and that would be true for the Kanzan variety as well, as long as the trees are younger ones. The older the tree, the more, the bigger, the wider the spread. The fact that the Kanzan variety comes in both pink and white, and in different shade of pink is excellent, because originally hanami was a Chinese custom, and it was about enjoying poetry and wine while sitting under the blooming plum trees. Now the plum trees are white. Well, Valpuri, these trees are 19 to 20 years old, and they are 6 meters, 6 to 7 meters in height. So the Japanese elite basically wanted to mimic the Chinese customs, and thus the cultivation of cherry trees began. But this was a custom that was common in urban areas and not in rural areas. So during the Edo period, in the 16 and 1800s, all across Japan, they started to plant cherry trees on riverbanks, um, next to Buddhist temples and shrines. Well, the ornamental cherry trees bring no cherries, so it's really for cultivated for the blooming. In Japan, hanami, which is basically the flower viewing. Sakura actually means both the tree and the flowers. Can happen during the daytime or at night as well. It is pretty customary to hang lampions in parks and to have a Japanese style picnic beneath the blooming cherry trees. Well, according to the Metropolitan Horticulture Company, this variety is good for at least for the Central European cold. Whether if there is any variety that is good for Scandinavian winter, that I can't tell. But if anything, this would be your variety. So here we have one of the younger ones from 2009. So Susan, I can point it out to you that the young ones have this vase shape. I really do hope that you can hear the birds singing. That's one of the reasons why I keep my mouth shut from time to time. And well, this is also the moment when I'm happy to point out the benches. The residential part of the Buda Castle Hill considers itself a village trapped in the city. And just like in rural Hungary, in this neighborhood as well, one of the most important venues of socializing are benches in front of the residential buildings. Some of the benches are designed for introverts, so there is a divider in the middle, making sure that one can keep its personal space. Some of the benches are for the extroverts with no dividers in the middle. So, should a local to this village um, be okay to be engaged in a conversation by another villager, they would expose themselves to chit chat by sitting on the benches, allowing others from the same neighborhood to chat them up and to start gossiping. And since this avenue is getting more and more famous compared to the previous years, we've been touring here since 2021. This is the first time when a bar also opened up here. Where one can get everything pink, like even pink ice cream. This would be the sour soup bastion, which was built back in the 1500s, and just like the other bastion, was also part of the castle's defense line. And back in the 1700s, when the first trees been planted here and the area was first landscaped, then these bastions were not connected to the area where we walk. The defense line and the village were disconnected. Connections were only built during the late 1700s, early 1800s. Well, the name sour soup comes from the fact that most likely some gunpowder was stored here, and the air had this sour aftertaste. So it has nothing to do with anything edible. So after the Second World War, landscaping this area was not prioritized. It was only 1967 when trees being planted here once again, pretty much at the same time when the reconstruction of the residential buildings came to an end. Well, Stish, it's not me, it's the neighborhood that has the two types of benches. So once again, this would be the introverts bench, and the next one is for the extroverts with less required personal space. So a bit of the two-colored tunnel. Yeah, some pink-colored marshmallows would be nice, and then we would die together in a sugar rush. So as we are progressing towards north, we are discovering the off-beaten track part of the Buda Castle Hill, where the village vibe shows its best. Hardly no foreigners. Of course, the group to my right now is an exception, but hardly no visitors would venture this far from the Matthias Church. And well, here we have the second newcomer, obviously still showing the vase shape. It also shows a little bit more light than the first one. Well, for everyone's information, there is a bit of a technical glitch. So I only see the last but one comment. I don't see the latest ones. So if you comment something, make sure to comment 2 times so that I can read it as well. Questions: what happens to the marshmallows when it rains? Well, if the weather conditions are not appealing, the pavilion does not open. So you may remember the week before, when we were touring here on Monday, the weather conditions were quite similar to today's one, and the pavilion wasn't even open. So both the flower beds and the tree line is maintained by the Metropolitan Gardening Company, which is sponsored by the Metropolitan municipality, not by the district one, from all the local taxes. Well, as far as I can see, there are a few of us who will be willing to eat marshmallows even if it is raining outside. Lynn, welcome, welcome. It's nice to have you as well on board. So for you and for the other possible newcomers, these are cherry trees of the Kansan variety. And today's topic is the second phase of Hanami, which is called Mankai. And in the meantime, we arrived to the so-called Valley Bay Bastion. And the centerpiece of the bastion happens to be a trumpet guy representing the 2nd Transylvanian Hussars. The 2nd Hungarian Hussars distinguished themselves with their bravery. They've been founded in 1742 and they discontinued in 1919 after the First World War. And to my understanding, not as a Hussar regiment, but as a mechanized unit, they were reborn during the Second World War. And what you can see in the distance are the Buda Hills. This would be the westernmost part of Buda in the near distance. And then the eastern sections of the Buda Hills, including Széchenyi, with the TV tower, the communication tower on the top. This would be the Schwaber, the small Schwaber hill. Behind it, we have the big one, and the highest point of Budapest is in the distance. That would be the János-hegy, or in English, that would be the John Hill with a lookout tower on the top dedicated to Queen Elizabeth, also known as Sissi. Now in the distance, you can see a church tower as well. That would be the church tower of Városmajor. And next to it, there is a cylinder-shaped building that's Hotel Budapest. That was the first five-star hotel to be built in Budapest after the Second World War. This was built by the Hungarian state. And although it's a listed building, it will soon be deconstructed and rebuilt in the same shape and form, but the interior will be totally different. So I hope you could take some pictures, save it, keep it, because soon those pictures will have earlier version of Budapest. Welcome, Cynthia. So for the newcomers, I would like to point out that the tour, the recording is available on the same link as soon as the tour concludes. So you can rewatch this tour as many times as you would like to. In the next day or two, a silent version will be uploaded in 4K done today before the tour. So same conditions, same colors, but no narration, more ambient noise, more ambient sounds, more blackbirds. So you can also use it as relaxing or meditational material. Well, the interesting thing is that this area has its own microclimate. We have a bunch of other cherry trees in Budapest. We have a sort of Japanese garden in the Metropolitan Gardening Company's high school. There, the cherry trees are over the blooming, and we do have cherry trees in Szentendre as well, also in the Japanese garden, and in the botanical garden as well that we've toured 2 weeks ago, and also in a nearby park where they planted the same amount of cherry trees that we have here, and they all passed the Mankai stage. So in Budapest, it's very difficult to predict when these trees will be blooming. So most likely I will not be able to return here once again during the next couple of days. But as I mentioned earlier, the recording is available, and there will be a silent version as well if you are fed up with my narration. Well, 2 pentals almost fell on me, so I'm almost going to be lucky next year. That's pretty much the comfort zone of a Hungarian. We almost made it. In the next couple of days, in upcoming weeks, we are going to tour once again in the Buda Castle Hill, and I will update you on how the reconstructions or the construction works progressed during the past year and what the plans are for the coming years. So you will know how to plan your in-person tour, or you can update yourself if you've been here during the previous years. So that's going to be one tour, and if everything goes accordingly and everything aligns, then we'll go to the countryside as well. We will return to the village of Zebegény, but this time only for a walking tour. I will not cycle between Zebegény and Nagymaros because I am still banned from doing so. And we will likely go to Szentendre as well, so that you can feed your eyes and soul with colors. Walpuri's question is about Hilton. Well, Hilton is up on the castle hill. It was built in 75 and 76. It was opened on the 1st of January 1977. And Kempinski is on the Pest side in downtown Pest. It was built during the 1990s, designed by Hild. No, erase this. Designed by Finta, who is also responsible for Marriott's design, which was built in 68. And as an extra bonus special feature, once again, we are going to change cameras. So bear with me, I will be back in a second. Well, it didn't work out, but that was the plan. I wanted to bring you a bit closer to the flowers. Speaking of framing, when it comes to the most expensive hotels in Budapest, then we have a Four Seasons, so we have a W, and the local Ritz-Carlton got rebranded, and now it's some sort of Middle Eastern brand that I couldn't memorize. And we do have Anantara New York Palace. Likely these are the four most expensive five-star hotels. Fish, then my mission was successful. The idea was to feed you with as many colors as possible. So well, this is it. This is the Mankai part of Hanami. Thank you very much for being with me. Finally, I can look at you. So thank you very much for being with me. I shall see you sometime either later this week or during the coming week with some countryside with Zebegin and Szentendre and with the transforming Buda Castle. If you have the chance to chip in to support the crowdfunding, support me in creating content, then please do so. You can see the link in the comment section. It's the first pinned message. You can buy me a coffee or two through Buy Me a Coffee. If you took some pictures, make sure to share it in the Facebook groups. Otherwise, we can keep in touch in the Captivating Hungary Through Adam's Eyes Facebook group as well. Keep an eye on the YouTube channel, because soon the non-narrated, the silent silent version of Hanami will be uploaded, the 4K version, and I have a bunch of other silent content for you from various corners of Hungary, from Székesfehérvár, from Lake Balaton as well, from Lake Velence, and so on and so forth. So you can travel a lot in the Hungarian countryside with those silent contents as well. Well, stay safe, stay healthy, and I shall see you in another episode. Goodbye.